Good morning, everyone. Steve here. Welcome to this edition of Monday Morning Musing. We left off roughly with the handoff of the quote-unquote Judean problem from Vespasian to Titus. There was just an interlude there. It's called the year of the four emperors. From 68 to 69 AD, there were four different emperors. I'm going to give them to you. There was Galba, and he was murdered by a guy named Otho. Otho was deposed by the legions. They put in their guy called Vitellius. They loved that guy because he was good time Charlie. He was just lavishing money and benefits upon the legionaries. And then, of course, Nero had committed suicide. And then Vespasian was made emperor after that year, the year of the four emperors there. So Vespasian is now emperor. He hands off Judea to Titus. Titus was not like his dad. The let's just wear him out mentality of let's just take the countryside and starve them out and we'll get to Jerusalem. That was not Titus's game. Titus's attitude is, we're going to finish this. We're going to take care of it. This is it. We are just going to end it and end this people. So, we know the story. Titus lays siege to Jerusalem. And it's so interesting that even as Titus's armies are surrounding Jerusalem, the Jews are still fighting with each other because they believe that Jerusalem is indestructible because God is on our side. So that even though we're fighting with each other, any efforts from those horrible pagan heathen Romans will ultimately end because God will fight for us. It's so like so many religious attitudes. God is on our side. And every cult, every Christian revivalist movement always has that ethos behind it, and it always ends in disaster. Not necessarily violence in our world, but collapse. God, we're right. Everybody else is wrong. God is on our side. God is going to defend us. God is going to keep us, keep our denomination, keep our church. No, churches are being shuttered everywhere in the West, not so much in Asia and in the East. So anyway, Titus lays siege to Jerusalem, and on the 9th of Av, he burns the temple, burns it to the ground, and he takes all the zealot leaders that were in control of the Temple Mount, hauls them off to Rome as slaves and prisoners. They're gone. The city was razed. And I mean razed. Nothing. Jerusalem was not inhabited by anybody when Titus was done. It was literally burned to the ground. It was inhabitable. There's an interesting story about two rabbis walking through the ruins, and they see a fox, and I'm not going to get into that. It's an interesting little story. Just if you're interested in it, look it up, Rabbis Jerusalem Fox. You'll find the story. The Masada revolt, 70 to 73, that was a mopping up operation. So it wasn't like there was this active rebellion going on. These are the few hangers on. We're going to mop it up. However, 70 AD was not the last time there was an uproar, a revolt against Rome. In 115, there was another Jewish revolt, but this one was in North Africa. The Jews in North Africa staged a minor revolt. And of course, it's not as big as 70 AD, but I just wanted to give it to you as a data point because my premise is there was this constant, non-stop violence. The temple destruction was a big peak, and the Bar Kokhba revolt is another peak. But 68 to 69, the Jews are fighting each other. 115, there's another revolt in North Africa. It's just murder and bloodshed all over the place. The Jews also believed that after 70 years, from the typology of their own history, that the temple would be rebuilt again and Jerusalem would be re-inhabited again. And that is not the case. It didn't happen. So it's during this period where the temple is gone, the only thing left is rabbinic Judaism. This is the time period where the Mishnah is written and the rabbinic tradition comes forth. And in that period, that mid-first century post-destruction of the temple period, mid-second century century. The rabbinic tradition is I would say, established. I'm not going to say it's thriving, but it's established. It's the remnants of Judaism. But there was a certain rabbi, and his name was Rabbi Akiva. And he had messianic hopes again. And he had a disciple. And that disciple was Simon ben Koseba, Koseba, more commonly known as Simon bar Kokhba. And between Rabbi Akiva and the disciple Simon bar Kokhba, the attitude was, we're going to do it again, but this time we're going to do it right. We're not going to fight amongst ourselves. We're going to organize, and we're going to get rid of these Romans. But it's just another cycle of violence and bloodshed, another cycle of the mixture of religious fundamentalism and violence. This violence and the sacred together, coming under the belief that you're doing the work of God or work on God's behalf. Your cause is just. God is on our side. Everyone believes God is on their side when it comes to violence. The Second World War, the Nazis believed God was on their side. We believe God was on our side. The Civil War in the United States, both parties believed God was on their side. So that's it for today. I'll see you next time.